Welcome to another edition of Hometown Happenings. I'm Supervisor George Hohmann. Thanks for joining us. Well, we're well into the fall season and we have a lot of activities and events coming up, and I'd like to talk about a few of those as well. Coming up very quickly this month, we're in partnership with a number of other organizations within the town, including the New City Chamber of Commerce. And the New City Chamber of Commerce will be hosting, along with the town, the New City Street Fair, which takes place on Sunday, October 6th, right here in downtown New City. They do two street fairs. They have over 100 vendors that come on in, and we typically will get anywhere from 7,000 to 10,000 people that will attend each one of these street fairs. Promises to be a fun and exciting time, and we encourage people to come on out. And of course, the town loves to partner with the Chamber of Commerce on events like this. In addition to that, we also work with the Nanuet Chamber of Commerce, and the Nanuet Chamber of Commerce is hosting their fall festival. That will be taking place on the 27th of the month. That'll be over at Lake Nanuet. And again, that's going to be a great opportunity with some outside vendors as well, some great fall activities, of course, as well. We also work with the Heritage of West Nyack, which has a great fall festival over at our historic Trapegan properties, and that's taking place on the 20th of October, and we're excited for that. That'll be over at the Trapegan properties. They have some great vendors. They have a hayride as well, and some wonderful historic activities, including a replica demonstration of a Revolutionary War battle with some period reenactors that always takes place over by the historic Bucky House. In addition to that, one of our favorite events in the town is our partnership with Happy Jack, the Happy Jack Foundation, and they do a wonderful job supporting families that unfortunately have lost a child. And so the Happy Jack will be taking place. It's the same day as our Halloween festival, and that's on the 19th of October, and that'll be taking place over at Jermon's Park. It's a 5K run and walk, along with some other activities, and so it's a great not-for-profit fundraiser that will be hosting that event. You can go the same day as well to our Congers Park around Congers Lake for our Halloween festival as well. So a lot of activities here within the town. The other thing I'd like to really just point out is in the town of Clarkstown, since I've been supervisor, we've been doing a teletown hall call. We do about 9 of them per year. Roughly once every 6 weeks or so. We're encouraging folks to sign up. We have about 12 to 16,000 people on our original list. We'll get thousands of people that we'll call out to, and thousands that will actually join the call. So if you're interested in learning more about getting on our list for the Teletown Hall call, or for getting communication from the town, we encourage you to contact us at supervisor@clarkstown.gov. That's supervisor@clarkstown.gov, or you can call my office at area code 845-639-2050. That's 845-639-2050. We've got a great show for you coming up. We have the Executive Director of Cornell Cooperative Extension, Jody Addeo. We have Donna Ehrenberg, the Executive Director of Rockland Community Services. And we have Clarkstown's newest judge, Judge Darren Epstein. All that and more on this episode of Hometown Happenings. Stay tuned. Welcome back. My first guest is Jody Addeo from Cornell Cooperative Extension. Welcome, Jody.
Thank you for having me today.
So really happy to have you here. You're the Executive Director of Cornell Cooperative Extension. Maybe for the benefit of our viewers, you could tell us a little bit about Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Okay. So Cornell Cooperative Extension is a statewide program. We're in every county in New York State. Here in Rockland, we're in Stony Point. And we provide a lot of educational programs geared towards the community. A lot of them are environmental, where we promote sustainability. We do some very great 4-H youth programs that target leadership skills for the youth, target learning about the resources here in Rockland and how to make Rockland a better place. That teen leadership program is open this fall, so that's a exciting thing that we have. And then we do other things as well for the community education-wise. So that's what we are. We do educational programs.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about Cornell, but how did you end up there? And you've had an interesting career in the not-for-profit and healthcare world, but how did you end up in Cornell?
So most of my work has been in long-term care. I worked in nursing homes, assisted livings. My last employer was the Alzheimer's Association, which I loved. I worked there for 8 years. And I just kind of decided I would see what was out there, and I saw this opportunity. Cornell has an excellent reputation. I know of Cornell Cooperative Extension, and when I saw the opportunity, I just knew that was my next endeavor and journey, and I'm really excited to be a part of this wonderful organization.
Yeah, and so it's interesting. So some folks never get involved with not-for-profits, but you've kind of been involved with not-for-profits your entire career, which it's to a certain extent, as somebody that spent 21 years working in not-for-profits, I connect with that in the sense that not everybody is called into that type of work, but it's a very rewarding type work, and you bring a wealth of experience to Cornell. What are some of the other programs that Cornell actually does?
Okay, so one of the most known about programs that we have is our horticulture lab. We have a lot of traffic in our office Monday through Thursday, where our lab is open to the public, and people can bring in different plants that they have, even different insects that they may find either in their home or even on their pet. It's really a wonderful resource since so many people are concerned about their garden and they have questions about how to improve their soil. So people can even bring in soil samples. So that's one of the most known about programs. And with that comes our Master Gardener program.
So let's just go back to that for a second. So I know a number of landscapers we've talked to throughout the years have availed themselves to the program where ultimately somebody has like a fungus on their vegetable plants or on their flowers, and they don't know how to treat it or care for it. And so they could literally take a leaf or a specimen, bring it up, and there's a program where you guys can look at it, do some testing, and tell them what's wrong with it, basically? Exactly.
We have state-of-the-art microscopes, which really enhance, the vision of what's happening. Sometimes they may think it's one thing and it's something else. And then we do have the Cornell resources. So that's really a huge benefit to us, is we can tap into all of our Cornell resources and identify what it is exactly. Sometimes people leave their plant in our office. I've seen individuals walking with an entire tree
really?
into our office, and not that I encourage that, but it is a huge concern, because if someone has a large group of trees that are being affected by something like the spotted lanternfly or something of that nature, it's nice to know that we're a great resource that's accessible.
Yeah, I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball. So we were talking about that off camera before we started. So the spotted lanternfly. So these invasive species and insects that are coming in, like the ash borer is another one, they're having really a very negative impact on the local environment, because they're not native to here, and they're bringing disease and other types of things like the ash borer disease. I mean, I just heard a statistic that it's something like 10,000 trees within the park system in New York State in the lower Hudson Valley that have had to been cut down because of this this invasive insect that's like burrowing inside the tree, and then is killing the tree from the inside out. And so these ash trees become unsafe, and then they fall or they die, and they have to be taken down. And we've had instances where people have died right here in the town. We had in Upper Nyack with a tree that fell and struck a car and killed somebody, on North Broadway in Upper Nyack a number of years ago. And so you guys are really part of that, where you help diagnose and let people know what's going on. Yeah. The spotted lanternfly. So what's the big problem with having that in in our area. It's basically just, it's bringing, different diseases and killing off other insects as well.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately, there's not a lot that we can do about it at this time, but we can help put people's mind at ease, at least by identifying what it is and giving them the permission to, do what they have to do to get it off their property if they can. So it's, certainly something that's very concerning to the community.
Right. So you do an awful lot of educational outreach as well. You talked about the teen program. I've spoken of that before. Could you explain a little bit about that program?
So Teen Leadership Rockland is very similar to Leadership Rockland, if anyone knows what that is. And Leadership Rockland, Teen Leadership Rockland is really a way to connect with different organizations within the community and open your mind as to possible career paths, different organizations that can help with the environment, with the arts and sciences. There's different religious, groups within the community, and just learning about different cultures, learning about public speaking. That's a really great tool that students are taught or are given the skills to succeed if possible in that realm. So it's really a team building opportunity within the youth, and then to kind of explore the options or the different careers and opportunities here in Rockland. And in addition, they do get to visit college too.
Right.
So.
And that's a great program. How does somebody apply for that?
Through us. So Cornell Cooperative Extension is the resource to apply, and we're excited because this year is the first year it's free. And through the years it hasn't been free. It's been for a small fee, and this year the graduates of Leadership Rockland donated to sponsor students of this upcoming class. So that's really a wonderful opportunity for those who it may have been a hurdle for them to apply. So it really opens up the door for many others.
So let's talk a little bit about your sustainability walk. It's coming up September 29th. So tell us a little bit about that. I know the town has partnered with you guys on this. So maybe you could give our residents a little flavor of what to expect and how they could participate.
Sure. So it's a free event, and thank you to the town of Clarkstown for supporting us and sponsoring us, allowing us to use the beautiful Congers Lake. And at the event, it's a walk, but not where everyone starts at the same time. It's a little different, where it's kind of just an open forum. People can come and go as they please. We're there at 10, and it wraps up around 2. And along the way, there's different stations. So people can learn about different environmental causes as they're walking through, or learn about the difference between a native plant versus a non-native plant, invasive species. What do all those terms mean? And we have our master gardeners who come out and really do a lot of that education along with our staff. We talk about energy, we talk about the different wildlife around the lake. So there's 10 different stations, and 5 of those have children activities. So it's a full family day, and the children can do a scavenger hunt. They can get stamps along the way on their maps. So it's a really great way to just get some exercise and learn more about the environment and how we can make a difference.
And what's great is it's the same day, although not as long as we have the Congers Fall Festival that the Rotary does. So literally, you can go to the Congers Fall Festival and then come walk around the lake, literally, within just a stone's throw from each other, and participate as well. So it'd be great. You could spend your whole day in Congers, courtesy of the town through the Rotary and Cornell Cooperative Extension. Yeah. So how does somebody get more information about some of your programs? How do they get in touch with you?
So our website is rocklandcce.org. We do have a walk website, which is sustainabilitywalk.org. So if you just Google, nowadays with technology, Cornell Cooperative Extension, Rockland County, our website has a host of information about our programs, about our events that we offer throughout the year. So it's a really great website that can give a lot of even fact sheets if somebody is at home wondering about their plant or about fertilizer or any of the interesting things that we offer. You can find information sheets on our website as well.
Yeah, it's a wealth of information, and I've availed myself to your services in the past for my own garden. You've got some great programs. The Master Gardener program is a great program as well. So just give us the website one more time.
It's rocklandcce.org.
Great. So Jody, thanks for being such a wonderful guest. Congratulations, you're coming up on your first year as the executive director. Having been an executive director of a not-for-profit, I know what those stresses and struggles can be like. Always worried about trying to make things work on a not-for-profit budget, but congratulations on your first year. You're doing a great job and some wonderful programs at Cornell.
Well, thank you so much, Supervisor Hoehmtown, for having me today.
Thanks
I appreciate
so much.
it.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
So I wanted to talk with you and your mom today, Lily, because of some of the changes your friends and teachers have seen in you lately. And along with the incident the other day, you were with Derek when he was caught selling marijuana.
Yeah, he was selling it.
Honey, we know, but we care about you and want to know what's going on.
That's right. We'd like to understand it better and see how we might help. And if weed is a part of it, we want to make sure you know about the negative consequences for someone your age. So, can we talk?
Talk. They hear you.
Welcome back. My next guest is Donna Ehrenberg, the Executive Director of Rockland Community Services. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you, George. I appreciate the opportunity.
So, Donna, relatively new agency. You bring a wealth of experience to it. You founded this agency. You've got a very engaged board as well. So I'm excited to talk about your agency and some of the services that you provide. But before we get to that, just tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in this line of work.
Well, I have 4 children, and I have children that are on the autistic spectrum and also on the mental health side. And so it was a road traveled. And from there, I devoted a lot of time not only to helping my children, but being very involved with the school, learning about every aspect of it. So from there, I was able to be hired by you, actually, and I learned greatly having set up a parent advocacy, but really learning the different systems that are out there. And from there, about 7 years ago, I decided I wanted to open up my own not-for-profit. So during COVID and taking care of my mom, it was at my house and everything was virtual. So, but we also had a mental health contract that we work with children at that time. So an opportunity came that I had some money, and the whole goal was we needed to be out there and have people be able to come to us. So about 4 months ago, we were able to rent space in Valley Cottage, large space where we want to be a welcoming place where anything that you need, you can come to us. We can see what you need, either benefits or eligibility for different programs. We feel we're very knowledgeable with that, with transition. We see gaps in service and having...
So we're
Okay.
launching into...
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's tremendous.
Sorry.
But there's so much that's so good about this that I don't want to run right over. So you're a parent advocate. Really, and lived experience, and it's exactly what you said. It's the road less traveled, like the famous poem by the late poet laureate Robert Frost. 2 roads diverge in a wood, and I chose the one less traveled by, and it's made all the difference. Well, you didn't necessarily choose it; it was chosen for you. But through that, you've developed an awful lot of platform skills, and having worked with a lot of different organizations, having been involved as a parent and involved as somebody in leadership positions in not-for-profit and in schools, you bring all that together, and you've really created a unique agency, Rockland Community Services, that focuses in on a lot of different things for people that are going through the system. Because as you said, New York leads the country in Medicaid-funded programs. but there's still gaps in services all over the place. And you're navigating this frankly, as a parent who's gone through it, with shared and lived experiences with other parents. So tell us a little bit about, let's start with just some of the services. So educational advocacy, you do a lot in that area.
Yes.
So tell us what that's like, because I can, I had a child that had an IEP and had a need for additional services. And so when you're a young parent, you get the diagnoses that either your child has a hearing deficit or some other cognitive issue, or whatever it might be, and it can be devastating, and you don't know where to turn and what to do. So and then you're kind of at the mercy of what the system is. So tell us a little bit about educational advocacy and what you do.
Well, I started with just having the knowledge, and then there's a program that you can be credentialed as a family pair, which I am, and somebody else in my office is, that's bilingual. So one thing that we really discovered is, even you mentioned an IEP, parents have no idea what it even says.
So what does it mean?
It's an individual educational plan that basically lists your child's services, where you are, and as you get older.
And that's required under the law?
Yes, that drives your services are listed in there. If you qualify for special education, you will have this plan.
And that could be somebody who has a hearing deficit, somebody has dyslexia, or somebody could be on the autism spectrum. It could be a wide variety.
There are 13 classifications that fit in. So the school district, if anyone feels their child needed support, they write a letter to the school, they do the evaluations and have a meeting. What I find, and I do a lot of training with, is I'll even ask the parent, do you know what track your child is on? Do you know what your goals are? And many people don't know that at all. And it's so important, because that leads down the road of, well, is my child making progress? What are they doing? So we do a lot of work with advocating positively at a school setting. We're here to work as a bridge together, not an adversarial setting, where we will talk to parents about, how to have the meeting, what they're looking for, and come into the schools. So we've been very lucky, and the schools don't see us as a negative. We're here to work together on everything.
So that's educational advocacy. Now, let's jump ahead. So that's a young child, the parent gets a diagnosis, and then they go through their educational program, whether they're graduating 18 or 21, or they can stay up until the age of 22 now, I think. But they've got to transition from youth services to adulthood. And a lot of times that's even more daunting, because there's fewer type services, there's a wide array of agencies that people can go to. You're not going to have the same supports and same level of supports that you have in the educational setting. So tell us about that youth transition to adulthood, and you do a lot of work in that area.
And you've definitely hit it right on the head, to be honest with you. That's what we started seeing, is people at home or people not knowing how to transition. Some of the schools will have a transition specialist, but what I took a look at, and they said, so I started to go to the schools and say, would you contract with me? And I would meet with the individuals ahead of time or any time in, and really help you prepare transition planning that needs to be part of your plan. And we saw many times that you can't be an expert in everything. So schools may not know, if I don't hand that application in right, it's not going to happen. So we have children that are either what we call the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities, eligible for those services that are lifelong. Many families have no idea about this program at all. So we will work with helping them get eligibility, training the schools of how the evaluations should read. Mental health is even more daunting, because when you turn 21, there are very limited programs where OPWDD for developmental disabilities may have a day program if it's open, or classes through a process called self-direction. With mental health, you have very few programming. So it's critical that you get those kids early on, because their therapist is probably no longer going to be there with school. They're so protected in that environment. So we've connected, like I've connected with, say, MHA has a program, PROS. So for young adults and older, they have classes, they have a therapist. So making sure that, okay, what do you need? Do you need an access VR if you're going to college? Do you need help with financial help? Of literally walking through, doing an intake for that person and trying to help them and educate the parents. They're completely lost. They have no idea what's happening. And we want to try to help get there early on and educate the schools. So we've seen very positive results. North Rockland contracted with us about 4 months ago. So they refer us transition to young adults. We do it, we look at it, and we're able to see families that not only need services for their child, but may need guardianship. We do guardianship for them. Maybe they need benefits. Maybe they need housing. How do you get it? So we're really able to help them one thing at a time. And even when you give parents, oh, sign this page, they'll say to me, Donna, can I come and sit with you? Can you help me? Because they're overwhelmed by it. Like I literally took somebody upstairs at courthouse. I paid the $20. We got all the paperwork. We got the guardianship. He called me last week. He goes, Donna, I got the guardianship. So it's all those little things that they really need the support in. And that's what we try to do.
And that's what makes your small agency, it's a very small footprint, but I expect that it's going to grow, and really what it's doing is it's wraparound services by the individual, by people that care, people that have gone through their own dealings with the system at multiple levels. You have support groups, you have classes, and all of those type things as well. We only got a couple of minutes left, but let's talk just a little bit about starting a business, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some things that, and employment, right? Yeah. So I think that we've done a really good job in the last 30 years of bringing down the stigma within the educational system with special education and people with special needs. I don't think we've done as good a job in the adult world in terms of employment. And I think that that's a whole nother avenue that you're also working in on. So let's talk a little bit about that. I was happy to be at your ribbon cutting with your office with Senator Weber. And it was great to see so many families there that you've connected with and the work that you guys are doing. But let's talk about moving from education into employment now. What are you trying to do in that area, and what's the advice that you can offer parents with a child with special needs or diagnoses, whether it's all mental health or OPWDD, and that they want to have a meaningful life for their kid.
And I think for personally, what I didn't say is my office is peer run. So my daughter, who has autism, who got a diploma, and for me to just bring her, say, will you hire her? She doesn't have the skill. So she is my assistant, she's my secretary. She has learned how to be in an office. And my older daughter is a social worker. She does all of that. So we understand what that's like, and that's where we want to branch off. And what I see is opportunity. And what we came up with was we want to say to businesses, anyone that's doing flyers, shredding, anything, we would like to help you. We're not asking you to hire our people at this point, but we want to show you their abilities, that they can do many things. And we've done that a little bit before. Senator Weber heard what I was saying and reached out to us and said, we're doing the senior fair, Donna. Can you put 1,000 bags together? I said, absolutely. So we want people to say, trust us, because I want you to look at the people that have different disabilities, and maybe there's a point that there's a job opening, and you've got to really see. It's easy to say, think differently or do things, but we really need to show that is, and we need real commitment from businesses. So we've actually been going to businesses, and they've all offered to give us pizza boxes, to go into the offices, maybe in the smoothie places. So we're really now out there in businesses. Will you work with us? And it's been very positive. So that's our next step of that. And we have people that have disabilities that have their own businesses, which you saw, is highlight them with how they can be successful. So that's really like kind of an all-round situation.
So I would liken your agency, Rockland Community Services, to the little agency with a big heart that really, I think, is going to fill in so many of the gaps and cracks in services here with a specialized wraparound program. So we're about out of time, but how does somebody get in contact with you?
Well, they can either call me at my cell. Well, it's Rockland Community Services. We have a website, so you can literally go on and hit info, and we will get your contact, which we do. We get contact information, and we will refer. We will call you within 24 or 48 hours, and you could do it that way. We're at 217 Route 303 in Valley Cottage. We're there every day. And we're very open to walk-ins or whatever we can do. So if you have a question, please feel free to call us.
Right, and you also have contracts with some of the school districts as well for transition services and educational advocacy.
Yes.
So Donna, thank you so much. I want to thank you for being a great guest, and I want to congratulate you. I mean, you've taken a step in creating this agency, which I think is it's already changing lives, but I think it's going to continue to change lives for the better, and really helping people see the opportunities and the possibilities that are out there. You know, people oftentimes, families and parents, they'll get a diagnosis with a child and they'll think, oh, this is it. But there's life beyond that, and there's a lot of opportunities, and we just need to be creative and find the path that people can follow, and you're doing some great work.
Thank you. I thank you for the opportunity, George. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Matthew.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. And what you say really does matter to me.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me, and they make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for talking.
Talk, they hear you.
Welcome back. My final guest is Clarkstown's newest judge, Judge Darren Epstein. Welcome, Judge.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Judge, really excited. You've got a very interesting background, and you're our newest judge with the appointment of Judge Asher to the county court by Governor Hochul, creating an opening, a vacancy, and the town board and I were happy to appoint you recently over the summer in August to the vacancy, and you're on the ballot in November. You're finishing out Judge Asher's term and running for your own term as well. So maybe we could talk a little bit about your background,
Sure.
where you're from.
I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
I moved up here after law school. I worked in...
Where'd you go to law school?
I went to the University of Baltimore
Mm-hmm.
and graduated from there.
Okay.
Then I came up here and went to the Bronx District Attorney's Office and was an assistant district attorney there for 3 years.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So when did you become a lawyer?
No, 1994 is when I officially passed the bar.
And when did you go to the Bronx DA's office?
1994.
Right. So interesting. You know, that's literally in the height of like the broken windows and the policing in the city. That's really starting to kick in with Mayor Giuliani and some of the changes in policing and law enforcement that really drove down the crime rate within all of America's major cities.
Yes.
We're seeing a real spike because there's been a whole move away from that. I don't want to get into the politics of that, but you were, a new lawyer, boots on the ground, if you will, as a frontline DA in the Bronx, literally in the height of New York kind of being tamed and coming under control. Tell us a little bit about that experience in the Bronx DA's office. I have to imagine that was formative for you.
Yes, I started there, and actually Mayor Dinkins was the mayor at the time. And then we had the changeover to Mayor Giuliani, which was very interesting because you saw a completely different approach to how they were going to police. So we had a lot more crimes that we're now having arrests for. And in addition to that, we were prosecuting a lot more in that regard. So you saw this approach where we wanted to get as many people off the streets who were committing crimes. That way it would stop and deter other people from committing those crimes, which is the broken windows approach. And so you saw a decrease in the level of violent crimes that was going on throughout that period of time because you were stopping the low-level criminals from now moving forward and continuing to commit more and more crimes.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of any big cases, like did you handle murder cases or stuff like that?
I was there for 3 years, so I didn't get to the point where I handled murder cases. However, I was in the courtroom working with other assistants who were handling those cases. And there was the retribution to the Valentine's Day Massacre, which was one of the first murder cases that I got to see. There was an old attorney there by Dan McCarthy who was their #1 assistant that was trying that case. And it was a pretty amazing thing to watch it go on. He got convictions in the case. And obviously the Bronx is a little bit different in that you have jurors there that are willing to find people not guilty of crimes they've committed. But in this case, Dan was actually able to get the convictions, on that case. So it kind of led me to really want to work hard in that level to get as much as I could on every single case that I worked on, information-wise and investigation-wise, so that I was ready to go for trials so that I could have victories instead of obviously not guilty.
So where'd you go from the Bronx DA's office? What's next in your career?
After the Bronx DA's office, I went to a firm out in Great Neck and worked for them for approximately a year. And then I was doing personal injury litigation. And then I came to Rockland County, and I worked for a firm and became a partner in a firm here in Rockland County, and stayed there until 2012 when I started my own firm. Okay. And since that time, I've had my own firm, and the great majority of work has been in litigation for personal injury work on behalf of victims, people who've been injured severely in accidents. And lately, over the last few years, since 2019, a great percentage of them have been victims of sexual abuse. So child victims who are now adults that were abused when they were children. So we've brought lawsuits against institutions, schools, and the defendants themselves, if they're still alive, in that regard. And now I've also had cases in the Adult Survivor Act as well to try and help those victims.
You also had experience early this year with a new term and some changes, and a new town attorney created the opportunity and opening for somebody to come in and do work in code enforcement. And so you were prosecuting code cases before you became a judge. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So that was a great honor to be able to do that, and I appreciate the fact that yourself and the town board allowed for me to help out in that regards, because we were able to go ahead and prosecute cases in which you had building code enforcement. And so, like, one of the big things up here has, especially during this last couple of years, has been a lot of illegal migrants coming up here and preventing them from, first of all, getting into any type of housing, like in hotels and that type of stuff, which was a great move on the part of the county and the town and yourself to prevent that. But also in the housing, in residential neighborhoods, we've had this problem. And so we've had overcrowding in houses where there were leases taken out, and you would go in and find anywhere from 4 to potentially 10, 12 families in a single house, which is a single family dwelling. And so we've prosecuted those cases. Our inspectors have gone out, done the investigation, and been able to get them out of those residential neighborhoods, so we can go back to having appropriate single-family housing in residential neighborhoods to keep our citizens safe and secure.
So great experience. So you bring a wide array of experience to the bench now. Bronx DA, literally 27 years as a private attorney, working through different firms and your own firm, and then also as a deputy town attorney and doing code enforcement prosecution. You've also been involved in the community. Obviously, you were coaching. You were a board member of the New City Little League. Tell us a little bit about that as well.
Sure, those were great years. It started with my oldest daughter, who was a softball player, and then my younger daughter went through and we coached, and we actually ended up with a championship, which was a great championship. We had somebody steal home.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. And then I moved on when my son was born, who's now 17 and he's at North, to coaching him and coaching several all-star teams on behalf of New City Little League.
Right.
Great experience. I loved working with the kids. They were great. The families were fantastic. And there's nothing better than watching, kids in, really high-level baseball win and see what it's like to, win at that level and have the joy of that. And it's just great for them.
Good. So what's it like now being on the bench? So you're new judge. So it's a new role for you. So when did you know that you wanted to be a judge, and what's it like now serving as a town justice?
It's very interesting. I had said to my wife that it's a situation where you get a little nervous because you have always been on the other side. So I've always been in the situation where I have been, whether as a prosecutor or a defense attorney, making my claims to a judge. And now, from the opposite approach, I'm sitting up there listening to everybody and then making that decision. But the interesting part is, after all the experience I've gained from being on both sides, I've had the ability to now use that experience with regards to coming up with decisions, or whether it is for bail, in cases, whether it is for sentencing that's going to happen on cases, or motion practice that'll happen, or just everyday work inside the courtroom, of using my experience professionally to assist with these cases and making sure that we adjudicate them properly.
Right. So it's certainly something that I think that you're not born into, but you bring your whole career to it, and it almost becomes, I don't want to say the culmination of a career, because you're going to be a lawyer for many, many more years. You can still have a private practice as a town justice, which you still do.
Right.
So you still have your private practice, where you're interacting with people, but now you're here in the town where you're handling code violations, you're handling any criminal cases that come through, right. Small claims court, things of that nature, right?
Yes. And the good part is, in terms of helping Clarkstown, which is, every hamlet that we have, every village, every city, like New City, Nanuet, Bardonia, helping all of them with regards to making sure that we keep everybody safe and secure in their homes, on our streets. And it doesn't matter if it's a code violation, where somebody didn't get their permits, and we want to make sure that, in terms of whether it's wiring, plumbing, or other things, that we know that it's done correctly, all the way to crimes that are committed on our streets and on properties and premises. And we want to make sure that we take care of our citizens and keep them safe every day that they're here, which is, our main goal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm excited for you, as a new judge, really gives you a great opportunity for a different type of service. And you certainly are somebody that has an impressive resume and a career that's led you to, I think, a great point in your life and your career where I think you can really make a difference as a great town justice. So I want to thank you for being a great guest. I want to wish you well on the bench as you continue, serving the people of Clarkston as one of our 4 town judges.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to assist the town any way I can.
Okay. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
So I wanted to talk with you and your mom today, Lily, because of some of the changes your friends and teachers have seen in you lately. And along with the incident the other day, you were with Derek when he was caught selling marijuana.
Yeah, he was selling it.
Honey, we know. But we care about you and want to know what's going on.
That's right. We'd like to understand it better and see how we might help. And if weed is a part of it, we want to make sure you know about the negative consequences for someone your age. So, can we talk?
Talk. They hear you.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank my guests, Jody Addeo from Cornell Cooperative Extension, Donna Ehrenberg from Rockland Community Services, and Judge Darren Epstein. Until next time, I'm Supervisor George Hoehmtown. Thanks for joining us.